Welcome to another edition of Milestones Radio. I have a special guest today.
I'm excited. Who is it?
Mr. Michael Stern, how are you?
I'm doing quite well. Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I read this phenomenal book. It's a good read. I actually read it twice.
Ooh, okay.
And it just happens to be yours.
Oh, I'm excited. I think it's called, what is it called?
I Had a Ball.
Oh, My Friendship with Lucille Ball.
Yes, how interesting. You know what? I've got to tell you, I'm reading this book and I'm like, I love this person. He reminds me of myself.
And it's funny because I wrote it from a fan's point of view because there's a lot of books about Lucille Ball or other celebrities, but it's always like it was based on the mother's next door neighbor's manicurist, gardener's friend who said, this person was a real bitch or this person was this. This is my story. So it's not coming from Lucille Ball. It's coming from what I remember being with Lucille Ball or stories that she told me. So these are my thoughts. And that's why this is the only book that's actually authorized by Lucy Arnaz and Desi Arnaz Jr.
Okay.
Because it's my story.
Well, I loved it.
Well, thank you.
And everyone has to buy it.
I hope so. It's available.
Yes, I got it on Amazon. And it said that there was only one left when I purchased it.
Oh, no. But it is a print on demand.
Okay.
So you could go back and order another one and see what happens. Maybe you'll get two.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
3. You never know. The revised one, which is actually, it's been out for about a year and a half, 2 years now. The foreword was written by Florence Henderson.
Oh, nice.
And it was actually, she wrote that 21 days before she passed away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so has some different memories on that one as well with Florence Henderson. But back to Lucy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I've got to say.
Okay.
You are definitely a person that makes things happen. Whenever I have a conversation with someone, I always say to them, if you don't like the way things are, change it.
Right.
There's only one person that's got the power to do that, and that's you.
Correct.
And this book backs that saying up, that's for sure. You
you.
make things happen.
Things have fallen into my lap sometimes, and I don't take no very easily, and I get stubborn if somebody says no. And but as a kid, when I started out, you know what? I was the one who took the 3 buses to the studios, and I went to the filmings of the Mary Tyler Moore Show and Rhoda and Hollywood Squares, and these are shows that you probably don't even remember yourself.
I do.
Oh, you do?
Yes,
okay,
I
good. And I went, and tickets for free, and it was free entertainment. And my parents were like, go, go, go. I went to Chico and the Man. Do you remember the show Chico and the Man?
Yeah.
Freddie Prinze and Jack Albertson. And I had a ticket. And for some reason, it was the first episode of, I think, season 3 or season 4. And there was always a warm-up comedian. And I would raise my hand and ask a question. And for some reason, we had a nice banter back and forth.
It was a great connection.
It really was. We connected right away. And I was 15.
You know what? And I was amazed. I was amazed when I figured out that you were only 15.
Yeah. But that's what I did, and I enjoyed it. These were like my friends, even though I watched them on TV. But I lived in the neighborhood, and I could just take a bus or two. And they invited me to come back the following week. Said, come back next week. Ask the same questions. So I became like the Mrs. Miller of Hollywood. If you know who Mrs. Miller was, she used to go to all the TV shows in New York and Merv Griffin shows. And she was an audience person. And that's what I sort of became at age 15. And so they would invite me back. And in those days, they would do 2 shows back to back. The same show, they would do a 4:30 dress rehearsal. And then with an audience, break for an hour and a half, have dinner, change some lines around, and then do it again for a fresh audience. And they would invite me to have dinner with the cast.
That is wonderful.
I know. At age 15, 16. That's what I was doing.
Good for you.
We're going to Hollywood Squares and just having a good time and going backstage and, hanging out with like Paul Lynde and Florence Henderson before I really got to know Florence Henderson and Karen Valentine from Room 222 and all these celebrities. And I was just a nice fan. You know, I was just not one of those.
You weren't a stalker.
I wasn't a stalker. I don't think stalking was around in those days, or maybe they were. But I was just a nice kid, you know, or I thought I was a nice kid, and so they would sign an autograph or join us here. And who are you here with? I'm by myself. Oh, join us, you know. And so I would be having lunch with Paul Lynn and all these people, and they would be making jokes and or Freddie Prinze and. So that's what I was doing.
The Freddie Prinze, that's a very tragic story, though.
I didn't know what suicide was until Freddie Prinze, and he was 22. I mean, we were like 5 years apart.
Very young.
He was very young, and very sad, very talented. I still think of him. You know, he was like a role model for me.
Well, I think that in the 70s, there were not the resources that we have available now. I mean, I was quite young then.
Right.
But I don't think that those resources were available, and somebody needed help. I don't think they knew where to turn.
No, and also I didn't hang out with those type of guys or girls at school. I was one of those nerdy little kids who went to TV show filmings. So those were my friends, you know, or make-believe friends, or I thought they were my friends, and because they were celebrities. Until one time I went to a filming of Phyllis with Cloris Leachman. And I remember hanging around. I could walk around the studio, which is weird. Now you can't. But right. I knocked on her dressing room trailer, you know, during her break, and to say hi, thinking we were best friends, even though I only met her once. And she goes, "This is my time with my daughter. This is not me being a celebrity right now. So like, get away." You know, it's like, so she taught me, you know, it's like, you're right. There is a time to be a celebrity and there's a time to be with family. And so she taught me that. And I learned that at like age 15, 16. Yeah,
was she nice about it though?
She was very nice. And I reminded her about that years later. It's like, you don't remember, but you taught me a very important lesson. So I do respect other people's time.
So you've got a very varied career. Working in a department store.
Yes, one of my first jobs.
And Lucille Ball would purchase items from you.
Well, because she's the one who said, get a life, get a job, you know, stay in school. And
get a job, Michael.
Yeah, so I was like 16, so I did get a job at my local May Company department store. It's like a Macy's throughout the country. And it was in the San Fernando Valley, which is just a nice area, but not the Beverly Hills. And I called her office because at that time I did not have her home phone number. And I said, her name is Wanda, her secretary. She's wonderful to this day. And I said, could you please tell Lucy that I did get a job at the May Company? And Wanda says she'll be very happy to hear this. And what are your hours and what department are you in? And so I told Wanda, who told Lucy. And then Wanda called me back and said, she wants to come buy some linens from you. When will you be there? So I gave her my hours, and she showed up.
That is an amazing story.
Because it was actually a May Company, maybe a mile from her house. But she actually came over the hill with a woman named Mary Wicks, who was a character actress in the 40s, 50s, 60s, did a lot of Lucy shows, and was on the one with Tom Bosley, and he played a priest.
I know what you're
Father
talking
Dowling
about.
Mysteries.
Yes, I remember that.
And she always played the nun, you know, or something like that.
She was typecasted in the nun.
Yeah. And so she was one of Lucy's best friends. And so they came and bought a lot of linens. And the receipt is actually pictured in my book. I had a ball.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there was quite a connection that you had with Lucy. I'm amazed at that connection that the two of you had. That's quite a chemistry. You know, I was reading your book and I'm like, let's see, did they know each other in a past life? What was this? Why did they connect so? But you know what? I think we always get someone in our life that we connect well with.
And she was like my second mom. You know, I was a huge fan. I'll start off, give a little bit of my life. I met her when I was 10, but I was a fan when I was 8. I mean,
you had that photo album.
Yeah, but I saw her in a movie called Yours, Mine, and Ours. It starred Lucille Ball, Henry Fonda, Van Johnson. She had 8 kids, he had 10 kids, and they married. So they had 18 kids.
The original Brady Bunch?
It's almost like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
And actually, there was stories about how the Brady Bunch was taken from this movie, but whatever.
Yeah.
That's another story. But I fell in love with her then. And about a few months later, I was watching I Love Lucy, not realizing it was the same lady who was in that movie, because one was in black and white on a 12-inch screen, black and white screen. The other one was in living color, 12 feet tall. And I just didn't connect that they were the same lady until my aunt said, Michael, that's the same lady. I became a fan ever since. I mean,
right.
Turned out that my neighbor's mother's boss worked on the Lucy show. Got me tickets. 10 years old. I had to lie because you had to be 12 to go in.
Yeah.
And
very creative.
I know.
Creative.
I was, you know what? I could still remember being nervous, like, they're going to catch me. They're going to catch me. I'm going to be thrown out. That's the first thing I remember about that date. But I sat, watched the show. I could still remember when she came out of the curtain, when they introduced Lucille Ball. She literally ran from one end of the stage to the other, waving with her flaming red hair. She talked to the audience for a couple minutes, and then she did the show. Didn't get to meet her, but that was the highlight of my 10-year-old life. I was able to get tickets a few extra times. I never cut school, but my parents let me cut class to go see Lucy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. So on my 12 and a half birthday, I was 12 and a half.
Got to put that half in there?
I know. It was actually on my half birthday. And I went with my scrapbook of photos. I went to her mother, who went to every filming of all the Lucy shows. And she said, "You're a big fan. How would you like to meet her after the show?" So for an hour and a half, I was biting my nails. My mother said, "Stop kicking her chair," because I sat right behind her. And so they dismissed the entire audience. And my mom said, and I didn't appreciate this until 20 years later, she let me go by myself. She said, "This is your one time to meet Lucy. Go." I think any other mother would say, "I'm meeting Lucille Ball too." No, not my mom. She said, "You go. This is your time." So I got to go backstage. Lucy's mom, Dee Dee, took me backstage and said, "Lucy, this is probably one of your biggest fans, Michael." And she looked at my scrapbook. I remember it's the only time I didn't talk. She gave me a kiss. She signed an autograph, and then off I went. And I had no camera then or anything like that, but the picture is in my head.
That is an incredible story.
Yeah. And it was like she would never see me again. But then I just happened to see her a few extra times, and finally she sat me down. I know I can remember everything. I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, but I could tell you what happened 40 years ago. She said, "Look, Michael, you could be my number one fan," which she actually said on TV.
I did see that. Yes,
it's on
I
YouTube.
saw that. Yes, I loved it.
Yeah, very excited. She said, "Look, get a job, stay in school, get a life," which I told you. And so it happened. I did. Because Lucy says stay in school, I did. If I ever had a problem at school or at work, whatever, I would tell her. And she goes, "That's very good. But did you tell your parents?" I go, "No." "Go tell your parents." She got me closer to my parents.
That's good.
Yeah.
Wonderful. What a wonderful mentor and influence in your life.
Absolutely. She brought me to the right path.
So if you could give a piece of advice to our listeners out there as they're like, "Oh, we just
Wait, we have listeners?"
It. We do have listeners.
I thought this was just us. Oh, my God. Oh, there's a microphone.
What
There's a
would that
studio
be?
audience.
Yes.
Hi, everyone.
What would that piece of advice be?
From Lucy or that I
Do
would
both.
give?
Do
I
both.
never give advice. You know what? Be polite. Respect your elders. But
Kindness.
kindness, yes. I like to be kind. Lucy was kind. She was tough. As a person on her set, she was very tough. She wasn't mean. She knew what she wanted. She could tell you, like, if you have a light over there that's off by an inch, she would say, move the light. And the lighting guy could say, no, it's right. And she would say, go measure. And she was right. It would be off by an inch.
Wow.
Yeah, she knew. Or she would say, you know what, go get that yellow piece of luggage that we once used on another episode. It's in the third row of the, props. She knew where everything was. She knew everything. She was wearing a lot of hats. And so she knew what she wanted.
So she was very detail-oriented?
Absolutely. And one thing I loved working with her on her last series was when she rehearsed, it wasn't like, okay, here's a bottle of water, but on the show it's going to be a larger bottle. She wanted the larger bottle because she wanted to know the weight, everything. So she would rehearse 30 times just to get it right. She wanted to know everything in detail. A great story is with John Ritter, who guest starred on her show. And within a week, he also did the Bill Cosby show. And he said, here was the king of comedy and the queen of comedy. They both had #1 shows, but Bill Cosby would rehearse 1 time, 2 times, and be done. Lucy would rehearse 30 times until she had it right to make sure that it looked like she had never done it before. So here was the king and queen, did 2 different ways just to get to be #1.
Well, I read your book twice.
Yes.
So you're finding out that I'm a little OCD too.
That's okay. Well, that was Lucy, just had to get it right.
So, yeah. And the other thing that amazed me, the queen. You met the queen. You made that happen. I know. I know you made that happen.
Absolutely. Well, I guess the queen of comedy, and I had to meet the queen of England. I was in England, first time, visiting a friend for 2 weeks. And my friend Craig, we did everything together in 2 weeks. We went to visit every possible thing. In the paper every day, it would say where the royal family would be. And on like the second to the last day, it said, the queen will be at Kensington Gardens planting a tree. I guess it was a hurricane or a tornado the year before. I said, I'm going. He goes, you'll be a mile away from it. You're not going to see anything. I'm not going to waste my whole day going. I said, I'm going. So I went around noon for like a 4 o'clock event.
And nobody was there.
Nobody was there. Nobody. Around 1 o'clock, I asked some people who worked in the gardens. I said, where's the queen going to be? Like thinking maybe I got the wrong place. Wait, she's coming here? I go, yeah, 4 o'clock. She's planting a tree. Knew nothing. 2 o'clock, okay. They started putting out like a little red carpet, some stanchions. There was like nothing. I mean, it was just like, there was nothing. So within about an hour, there were about maybe 80 people, 100 people that showed up. I think 1 busload of kids came. There was a gentleman who I think worked for the queen. So like, she's going to come this way, just,
Right.
Be manners or whatever, be nice.
Don't touch the queen.
Yeah, don't touch, just, I don't even think they even said that,
Really?
Just, yeah.
That's like one of the biggest rules. There's like 20 rules that you have to follow.
Right, exactly. But it was so casual. It was like, so literally I was like dead center, first person when she walked down the red carpet. First it was like a Honda that came out and then a Rolls Royce. And she came out of the Rolls Royce. And I started the applause. I go to a lot of TV shows, so I knew to start applauding. People didn't know what to do. She planted the tree and everything, and I did the applause every time she lifted the shovel. Then she walked back the red carpet, and I walked around the red carpet, still around the extensions or whatever. And she started meeting the people who worked in the gardens, like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I said, California loves you. And she nodded. Somebody said, like, Mississippi loves you. And she nodded. And then I said, back home in the United States, I work for Lucille Ball. And she told me if I saw you, say hello. She turned around and said, Lucille Ball? It was like, she was so excited. And it was like, yeah. And she told me to say hello, so she nodded or whatever. But she was so nice about it. I bet you And I got a picture with her, like a selfie. Before selfies were around, I got a selfie with her. I bet you if I had asked her for a photo, she would have said yes. It was at that time, before 9/11, before everything. We had this 12-second connection. I bet you she would have said yes. So I have a lot of pictures of her from that date, and it was exciting. So right after it, I called Lucy at home, and I said, I just met the Queen, and she told me to say hello. And it was like, she knows who I am? I go, yeah, she watches you, She was very excited.
That's awesome. You really, like I said, make things happen. When I was reading your book, I had the book that I read previous to yours was a little different. It talks about the universe will hear you. So what you say and what you believe, the universe knows.
Okay.
And when I was reading your book, I'm like, Michael's just a really super positive person. And the universe knows that. And things happen. He makes things happen.
Not necessarily all the time, but, I enjoy what I do. And I have a good time. Sometimes I get in trouble, but I have a good time.
So tell me about what you're doing now.
I work on the #1 daytime talk show, The Dr. Phil Show. I've been there for 14 years. I'm the audience producer. I bring in the audiences every day. He has a major fan base, and a lot of people write in every day, and I just make sure that he has a full audience every day, and I make them happy, while they're there, and Dr. Phil does his show, and then I say goodbye to the audience, and we're done. But it has to do with the audience. And because I was an audience member for many years, and I still go to some TV shows, I know how to treat an audience member. It's like how I want to be treated. So I think they have a good time when they're at the Dr.
Every
Phil
time I
show.
go to a show, they put me off in the corner somewhere. I want to be up front.
Right. It just depends, But you're inside when there's 8 million people who are not inside.
Yeah, I've been on several shows.
Yeah, so you're inside, and you're always in the corner?
Not always. It's kind of an exaggeration.
I know, but it just depends. You just never know. The next day you could have been in the front row. Sometimes we get calls like, we're looking for all pregnant women to sit in the front. We're looking for all bald-headed guys or something. I mean, this doesn't happen too often. But, it just depends on whatever the topic is. And we never know until Dr. Phil comes out and starts talking. Are you looking
for some really good-looking radio show hosts?
Oh, sure, every day. Every day. But that's what I do. And I've been there for 14 years. But the one nice thing is at Paramount Studios in Hollywood, which was formerly Desilu Studios.
Right, yes.
And I'm on the same stage where Lucille Ball met Des Arnaz. So there's a little Lucille Ball every day. I always say hello, like, to Lucy and Desi.
Well, the other thing I thought was very interesting is how did they remain harmonious? I mean,
oh yeah,
that's how I took it in the book. And a lot of breakups or divorces or whatever aren't that way, but they just seemed to both be very genuine people.
And they loved each other. I mean, they just couldn't live together, just.
Some people just can't be married.
Right, exactly. And I usually don't quote Dr. Phil, but it's sometimes better to come from a broken home than being in a broken home. Yeah. They just couldn't live together. And they both remarried, both had great spouses of other people, and for like 20 years or 28 years. And they raised 2 great kids, and they had 2 great homes to go to. Whenever Lucy was going to do a project, she would call Desi and get his feedback and his blessing. And
yeah, that's nice. Yeah. It's very nice that
they were friends to the very end.
That their relationship.
And they only had one attorney, I heard, when they divorced. And it wasn't like a small little divorce. I mean, they had homes and, studios, and they had everything, but one attorney.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Michael, if there's any, I always like to talk to people. We've got Milestones Radio, which is about good people doing great things. Okay. You're in that category, okay, or else you wouldn't
only
be
for today.
Right here. And that started with Milestones Life Transitions.
Okay.
So how things started was I was working with people that were in a transition period in their life.
Okay.
Now, we've already talked about advice for people, but is there anything that you would change that you did in your career or any other time?
Honestly?
Yeah.
No.
All right.
No. I love what I do. I've been going to shows since I was a little kid. I've always enjoyed it. I knew I could never be an actor. Well, Lucy sort of told me that. But, I mean, I could never be an actor. I cannot be in front of a stage. I mean, I'm in front of a stage, an audience every single day, but I can't tell jokes. Even though I do the same joke every day, I stumble over my words half the time, but I just have a good time what I do. I like what I do. And so I go home enjoying what I do.
We've been finding with the interviews that I've been doing within the last week that everything has pretty much the same path that it's going down. Do what you like to do. Do what you love to do. Make yourself happy.
Yeah.
And you're not here on this earth to please anybody else but yourself.
Right. And I like what I do. I like my family. I love my life. And I mean, yeah, you always want to change things. I wish I had a full head of hair. I wish I was 5 inches taller and, more muscular and all that. But,
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And I hate being mistaken for Brad Pitt all the time. But you know what? It happens. It just, life goes on.
Well, when you walked in the door, I thought you were Brad Pitt.
Hey, thank you. I get mistaken all the time for him.
I did.
Yeah, it happens.
I always like to say my husband gets the title of sexiest man alive, and you might be number 2.
Oh, yeah. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Who just got it? It was yesterday. It was just announced, and I didn't get it. I'm trying to think who it was.
I thought it was you.
Next time.
Yeah. We'll have to campaign for you.
I know. No. No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, to our listeners and our viewers, this is Milestones TV, Milestones Radio.
Got a haircut just for this today.
You look very nice. I had a ball.
Yes.
It is on my favorite book list.
I've never heard that, but that's very sweet. That's very nice. But
okay.
You know what? I do get letters, and it's amazing how people go, I read your book. I'm going, wait, people read it? I wrote it, and it's weird that I get people who read it, I want people to buy my book, but then I don't
Do you want me to just put it on my coffee table?
Yeah, well, but that's weird.
There?
It's weird when people come up to you and go, I read your book. I'm going, you did?
Michael, I read it twice.
I know. It's just strange. I mean, it's very strange. I'm honored. I'm thrilled. And it's done very, very well. I wrote it, I think I mentioned that, I wrote it as a fan for other fans. I wanted people to know the way I knew Lucy and that the way they thought Lucy was. And it's true.
So there's a revised edition on Amazon also.
Yes.
So you have the choice to get either the edition that I purchased or the revised edition.
Right.
Okay.
And the revised has a few color photos.
Okay.
The ones that could have been colorized, not colorized, but in color. Few extra pictures.
Okay.
I add a little bit with other celebrities as well, like Florence Henderson, Carol Burnett, Joan Rivers,
Okay.
Something about my life. I'm attracted to older ladies,
Good for you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Am I? No, you're the, what's a cougar? The woman is the cougar. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm the cougette? I don't know. No, I don't know. But for some reason, Florence Henderson, we became good friends. I love Carol Burnett. I'm going to see her next week. But here are people that I grew up with, and they could call me, hey, Michael, it's Carol, or Joan Rivers at the time, or I once spent the night in Joan Rivers' house,
Really?
It's a different story. And Joan wasn't there. Joan was not there,
okay.
And I was invited. I didn't sneak into somebody's house or anything like that.
Well, I'm glad to hear you didn't break in.
Yeah, I didn't break in.
Yeah,
it's like, she didn't know I didn't get caught. But no, I was invited. Years ago.
Okay, yeah. Awesome. Well, everybody, go ahead, purchase I Had a Ball by Michael Stern.
They could also go to my website. Can I mention my website?
Talk about your website.
It's called thelucyfan.com. thelucyfan.com. And they could also purchase my book there. And I could even sign my book if you want me to sign it.
do.
No, not you. I mean, yes, I can sign your book because you already bought it. But I'm saying if somebody wants to buy my book, I sell it on my website as well. Or Amazon. Sometimes it's cheaper on Amazon. I don't get a discount on my book.
Yeah, but if they buy it from you, they might get your autograph.
Yes, I would sign it for them.
Okay.
I would sign it for them.
All right. So, and check it out at milestonesradio.com because we're going to have it posted there.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited.
So.
We're not done, are we?
We are.
Wait, I didn't even drink my water. Can I take it home?
You can.
All right. Will you sign my water?
I will. I will do
thank
that.
you.
Yeah, I'll
Appreciate
do
it.
that. So I've got some people I'd like to thank.
Who?
You.
Oh, okay. I had no idea.
So, Michael, I would like to thank you for being on my show. I'm so glad we finally got to meet. So
I'm very honored. Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to thank my engineer, Shai, for working. I'm a slave driver, you know.
Yes.
I'd like to thank my husband for being my assistant.
I didn't know that. Wow. Okay. I had no idea. What about the studio audience?
Yeah. Cheer us on.
Yeah.
I'd also like to give a thank you to Harlan Ball because he is the reason why we met.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. He's taught me a lot. And he's very polite. He's
he is
wonderful.
a very kind person.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Have you ever had him on your show?
You know what? I tried to get him on my show, and he's only done 2 interviews, he said, ever.
Really? Okay.
So we need to push him to do this. We need to get him to do this. If I ask him about 4 or 5 times, maybe he'll do it finally.
Yeah, he's got great stories.
He does.
Yeah, he's got great stories. So he's been in this business for a long time.
Yeah.
Like 60, 70, 80 years. So.
I don't think Harlan would like it that you just said that. That's for sure. So. All right. Well, thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you. I'm going home.
All right.